Driverly.com, unlimited drama series.
Nothing like insomnia fueled by marital betrayal and too much Red Bull. I'm Jack Duval, and at 3:17 in the morning, I discovered my wife Elise had been playing house with my childhood friend Colin Brandt for the better part of 6 months. The discovery came courtesy of a burner phone tucked inside her sports bra, like some kind of modern-day love letter. My wife's as subtle as a chainsaw in a library, apparently. I sat in my cluttered brownstone study, scrolling through text after explicit text. The messages painted a vivid picture of afternoon business meetings and weekend yoga retreats that had nothing to do with downward dogs and everything to do with Colin's downtown loft. "Can't wait to feel you inside me again," read one particularly charming message from my dear wife. "Jack's working late again. Same hotel, room 412? Colin's responses were equally poetic. "You're so much better than him at everything. Can't believe you're still married to that loser." The kicker? A photo of Colin wearing my old Boston University sweatshirt, the one I'd been looking for all semester. My hands trembled as I set the phone down. 15 years of marriage, and this is what I get. Elise, my fitness influencer wife with her perfect Instagram life, screwing around with Colin, the entitled CEO who'd borrowed money from me to start his tech company and never paid it back. The front door clicked open downstairs. Elise was home from her late-night spin class. I slipped the phone back where I found it and pretended to be asleep when she slid into bed, reeking of expensive cologne that definitely wasn't mine. "Jack," she whispered, "you awake?" I kept my breathing steady, fighting every instinct to confront her right there. Instead, I waited, planned. Because if there's one thing my data consulting business taught me, it's that information is power, and timing is everything. The next morning, Elise bounced around the kitchen in her designer workout gear, chattering about her upcoming business trip to Miami. "It's a huge opportunity for my brand," she said, not meeting my eyes. 3 days of content creation with some major sponsors. "Sounds expensive," I said, sipping my coffee. "Good thing Colin's company is doing so well. He can probably afford to send you first class." Hoyono Lamzo Hokaf. Her coffee mug slipped from her fingers, shattering against the tile floor. "What did you say?" "What a write up from my laptop. All innocence." "Colin's company. Isn't he one of your sponsors now? I saw his logo on your recent posts." "Oh, right. Yes, small partnership." She knelt to clean up the mess, her hands shaking slightly. "How did you know about the first-class thing?" "Lucky guess." I stood, grabbing my jacket. "By the way, have you seen my old BU sweatshirt, the gray one with the hole in the sleeve?" The color drained from her face. "No. Why?" "Just wondering. You never liked that old thing anyway." I left her standing in the kitchen, surrounded by broken ceramic, and drove to O'Donnell's pub. Old man O'Donnell had owned the place for 30 years and knew everyone's business before they knew it themselves. He was wiping down glasses when I walked in, the morning light filtering through grimy windows. "Jack Duval," he said in his thick Boston accent, "you look like hell. Feel worse." I slumped onto a bar stool. "Whiskey, make it a double." "Little early, even for you." But he poured anyway. "Heard your wife's been making new friends." I looked up sharply. "What kind of friends?" O'Donnell slid a USB drive across the bar. "Security footage from the hotel across the street. No charge. Consider it a public service." My heart hammered against my ribs. "What's on it?" "Let's just say your childhood buddy Colin's been getting real friendly with Mrs. Duval every Tuesday and Thursday for the past month." I pocketed the drive, threw a 20 on the bar, and headed home to my locked study. The footage was damning. Crystal clear shots of Elise and Colin entering the hotel together, his hand on her ass, her laughing at something he whispered in her ear. In one particularly brutal frame, Colin was wearing my sweatshirt, while Elise wore nothing but a hotel robe, smoking on the balcony like some kind of victory cigarette. I called my best friend Pete Morrison, an ex-cop turned private investigator who specialized in divorce cases. "I need your help," I said when he answered. "Jack? You sound like shit. What's going on?" "My wife's cheating on me with Colin Brandt." Silence. Then, "That entitled prick from college? The one who still owes you 15 grand? That's the one. Son of a bitch. What do you need?" "Everything. Financial records, business dealings, personal life. I want to know what Colin Brandt had for breakfast every day for the past year. Consider it done. But Jack, whatever you're planning, be smart about it. Don't do anything stupid." "Stupid?" I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Pete, I'm done being stupid. It's time to get creative. 3 days later, Pete sat in my study with a manila folder thick enough to choke a horse. My IT guy Sandoval had joined us, his laptop open and fingers flying across the keyboard. Your boy Colin's in deep shit, Pete said, spreading documents across my desk. His startup's bleeding money. They're 3 months behind on rent, 2 months behind on payroll, and the venture capital firm that funded them is getting nervous. Sandoval looked up from his screen. I hacked his calendar. Want to guess where he's taking your wife tonight? My jaw clenched. Tell me. Private dinner at Romano's, 8 p.m. Table reserved under Mr. and Mrs. Smith, he snorted. Real original. Here's the beautiful part, Pete continued. Colin's been cooking the books, inflating user numbers to keep investors happy. One anonymous tip to the SEC and his whole house of cards comes tumbling down. I leaned back in my chair, mind racing. Not yet. I want to watch him squirm first. That evening, I followed Elise's Audi through the rain-slicked streets of downtown Boston. She'd told me she was having dinner with her trainer to discuss a new fitness program. Technical difficulties, she'd called it. The irony wasn't lost on me. Romano's sat in the theater district, all dim lighting and intimate booths. I parked across the street and watched through the restaurant's floor-to-ceiling windows as my wife and Colin shared appetizers and played footsie under the table. Colin looked smug in his expensive suit, probably paid for with investor money he'd never see again. Elise wore the black dress I'd bought her for our anniversary. The one she'd claimed made her look fat. Apparently, it looked just fine for cheating. They left the restaurant at 10:30, Colin's hand possessively on Elise's lower back as they walked to the parking garage. I followed at a distance, fury building in my chest like steam in a pressure cooker. The garage was dimly lit, their voices echoing off concrete walls. Jack's getting suspicious, I heard Elise say as they approached Colin's Tesla. He asked about the sweatshirt. Relax, babe. He's too much of a pushover to do anything about it. Colin pressed her against his car, kissing her neck. Besides, after this Miami trip, we'll have enough content and sponsorship deals to set up our own place. What about his money, the loan you took? Colin laughed. What's he going to do? Sue me? I'll drag it out in court for years. By then we'll be long gone. I'd heard enough. Moving silently, I approached Colin's Tesla and quickly removed the valve cap from his rear tire, pressing the core until air began hissing out. Then I slipped a note under his windshield wiper. Sleeping with fire leaves you burned, a friend. By the time they finished their groping session, Colin's tire was flat. What the hell? He stared at the deflated tire, then noticed the note. His face went pale. Someone's watching us. Oh, who would do this? Elise's voice cracked with panic. I don't know, but we need to be more careful. I smiled in the darkness. Careful wasn't going to save them. The next morning, I made an anonymous call to Meridian Ventures, Colin's primary investor. I have information about one of your portfolio companies, I told the receptionist. Colin Brandt's been falsifying user metrics and diverting funds for personal use. Can I get your name, sir? A concerned citizen. Check his books. You'll find what you're looking for. 2 hours later, Sandoval called me, cackling with glee. Dude, you should see Colin's office right now. 3 guys in suits showed up with briefcases and serious faces. His employees are freaking out. Beautiful. What about Elise? Posted on Instagram an hour ago. Some bullshit about staying positive through life's challenges. The comments are brutal. People are starting to ask questions. I spent the afternoon at my real job, running my boutique data consulting firm and trying to act normal. But inside, I was planning. Every humiliation Colin and Elise had coming, every consequence of their betrayal, played out in my mind like a chess game. That evening, Elise came home pale and shaken. How was your day, honey? I asked, not looking up from my laptop. Fine, just... tired. She poured herself a large glass of wine. Jack, do you think someone could be watching us? I finally looked at her, letting a flicker of concern cross my face. Watching us? What do you mean? Nothing. Forget it. Just paranoid, I guess. Maybe you should cut back on those late-night workouts. Stress can make you imagine things. She nodded quickly, too quickly. You're probably right, but I could see the fear in her eyes, the way she kept glancing at the windows. Good. Fear was just the beginning. My phone buzzed with a text from Pete. Colin's company got raided by auditors today. Word is spreading fast. Also, checked with my contact at the hotel. They have security footage going back 6 months. Want copies? I typed back. Send everything. The game was just getting started. The next morning brought delicious chaos. Sandoval called me at 7 a.m., practically vibrating with excitement. Jack, you need to see this. Colin's company is imploding. 3 key employees quit overnight, his lead developer posted a scathing review on Glassdoor, and someone leaked internal emails showing Colin calling investors money-grubbing idiots. Someone leaked them? I asked innocently. Crazy, right? Anyway, the venture capital firm is pulling funding. Colin's toast. I drove to my office with a spring in my step. My consulting firm occupied the top floor of a converted warehouse, all exposed brick and modern fixtures. From my window, I could see Colin's building 6 blocks away. Around 10 a.m., Pete called. Your wife's at the gym, making a scene. Apparently someone broke into her locker yesterday and destroyed her favorite workout clothes, cut them to ribbons, and left a note in red lipstick. Trust is dead. That's terrible, I said, fighting to keep the satisfaction out of my voice. Any idea who might have done it? None whatsoever. But here's the interesting part. Her friend Britt is asking a lot of questions about you. Wants to know if you've been acting strange, if you suspect anything. Britt's fishing. Exactly. Which means they're scared. Scared people make mistakes. That afternoon, Britt showed up at my office unannounced. She was Elise's yoga instructor friend. All organic smoothies and fake spirituality. Today, she looked nervous. Jack, hi. I was just in the neighborhood and thought I'd stop by. Britt, what a pleasant surprise. I gestured to a chair. What brings you downtown? I'm worried about Elise. She seems really stressed lately, paranoid about someone following her or watching her. Have you noticed anything? I leaned back, studying her face. Following her? That's concerning. Maybe I should hire private security. No! The word came out too fast, too sharp. I mean, that might make her more paranoid. Has she mentioned anything about, I don't know, problems with her business partnerships? You mean Colin Brandt's company? I watched her eyes widen. Yeah, I heard they're having financial troubles. Shame. Elise was really excited about that collaboration. How did you know about Colin? Britt, I may be a boring data guy, but I pay attention to my wife's career. Speaking of which, I've been thinking about expanding my business. Maybe buying out some struggling tech companies. You know, help them restructure their debt. The color drained from her face. That's great, Jack. Really great. I should go. After she left, I called Sandoval. I need you to dig deeper into Colin's finances, personal accounts, credit cards, everything, and see if you can find any connection between him and Elise's business accounts. Already on it. Found something interesting. Elise has been funneling money to Colin through fake sponsorship deals. 20 grand over the past 3 months. My blood ran cold. She'd been stealing from our joint account to fund her affair. There's more, Sandoval continued. Colin's been using that money to pay for hotel rooms, expensive dinners, and get this, he bought her a Cartier bracelet last week. $1,500. The bracelet she'd claimed was a gift from a grateful client. That evening, I confronted Elise about the missing money. $20,000, Elise, from our joint savings. She looked up from her phone, trying to appear casual. Business expenses, equipment, marketing, travel. You know how it is. Show me the receipts. What? The receipts, for $20,000 in business expenses. Should be easy to produce. Her mouth opened and closed like a fish. They're at my accountant's office. Which accountant? Because our accountant doesn't have them. Jack, why are you interrogating me? Don't you trust me? I almost laughed. Trust? That's rich. You know what? Forget the receipts. I'm sure you had good reasons, but I didn't forget. That night, after Elise fell asleep, I transferred our remaining joint funds into a separate account. If she wanted to play financial games, I'd show her how it's done. The next day brought the pièce de résistance. Colin showed up at my office, looking haggard and desperate. Jack, we need to talk. I looked up from my computer, all surprise. Colin, what brings you by? Cut the shit. I know it's you. I'm sorry? The audit, the leaked emails, the fucking tire. You're trying to destroy me. I stood slowly, walking around my desk to face him. Colin, I have no idea what you're talking about, but you look terrible. Everything okay? My company's finished. Investors pulled out, employees are jumping ship, and someone's been spreading rumors about my personal life. That's awful. Maybe you should have been more careful about your business practices. His face flushed red. This isn't over, Jack. You think you're so smart, but I know things about you, college things, things that could ruin your precious reputation. I stepped closer, lowering my voice. Are you threatening me, Colin? I'm warning you, back off, or I'll make sure everyone knows about your little problem freshman year. You mean the drinking? The academic probation? I smiled. Already public record.
It was one time at the company retreat.
Your coworker posted a photo. You're wearing this shirt.
Watch more on Grammarly.com.
Nice try, though. Colin's confidence cracked. I'll tell Elise everything about what really happened that night at the frat party. Go ahead. I'm sure she'd love to hear all about your college stories, especially the ones about you and her. He went pale. What do you know? Everything, Colin. I know everything. He stumbled backward, then turned and fled my office like the coward he'd always been. I sat back down, pulled out my phone, and called Pete. Time for phase 2, I said. What did you have in mind? I want to buy Colin's company. Buy it? Jack, the place is toxic. Why would you want that headache? I smiled, watching Colin's building through my window. Because sometimes the best revenge is success, and I have plans for that company, big plans. 2 weeks later, I sat across from Colin in his glass-walled conference room, buyout papers spread between us like a battle plan. His once pristine startup office now looked like a garage sale, empty desks, missing equipment, and the lingering smell of defeat. This is humiliating, Colin muttered, his signature shaking as he signed document after document. Business is business, I replied calmly. You built something valuable here. The execution just needed work. What Colin didn't know was that I'd orchestrated every aspect of his downfall. The anonymous tips, the leaked emails, even the key employees who'd quit. I'd hired 3 of them for my own company at double their previous salaries. The terms are generous, I continued. I'm assuming all debts, keeping current staff, and you get a consulting fee for the transition period. Consulting fee, he laughed bitterly. You mean I get to watch you dismantle everything I built? Actually, you'll be reporting directly to me. Think of it as a learning experience. My lawyer, a sharp woman named Patricia Chen, slid the final contract across the table. Mr. Brandt, this includes the standard non-disclosure agreement and non-compete clause. Any violation results in immediate termination and legal action. Colin's hand hesitated over the signature line. What about my personal projects, my side business? I exchanged a glance with Patricia. Colin's side business was his affair with my wife, funded by stolen money and built on lies. All business activities must be disclosed and approved, Patricia said smoothly. Standard practice for executive positions. Executive position? Colin looked confused. You'll be Senior Vice President of Product Development, I said. Congratulations. The irony was delicious. Colin would now work for me, in the company he'd founded, while sleeping with my wife. Every day, he'd have to look at me and remember who held all the cards. After Colin signed, I walked him through the building that was now mine. We'll be implementing some changes, I said as we toured the open plan workspace. New security protocols, financial oversight, and a strict ethics policy. Ethics policy? Zero tolerance for conflicts of interest, personal relationships that compromise business judgment, that sort of thing. I'm sure you understand. Colin's face went ashen. Jack, about Elise, what about her? Nothing. Never mind. That evening, I came home to find Elise in our bedroom, packing a suitcase. Going somewhere? I asked. Miami, remember? The business trip I told you about. Right, the content creation opportunity. I sat on the bed, watching her fold clothes with trembling hands. Funny thing, I called the hotel you're staying at. They don't have any reservation under your name. She froze. Different hotel. I changed it last minute. Which hotel? The Marriott. Which Marriott? There are 6 in Miami. Downtown. The downtown Marriott. I pulled out my phone and started dialing. Let me call and confirm your reservation. Don't. She grabbed my phone. Jack, please, we need to talk. About what? Tears started flowing down her cheeks. I've made some mistakes, bad choices, but I love you, and I want to fix this. What kind of mistakes? I've been seeing someone else. I stared at her, letting the silence stretch until she squirmed. Who? Colin. Colin Brandt. My childhood friend Colin? The one who owes me $15,000? Yes. How long? 6 months. Where? Hotels, mostly. His apartment, a few times. My money. You've been using my money to fund your affair. She nodded, mascara running down her face like black tears. I stood up slowly, walked to my dresser, and pulled out a small recording device. What's that? She whispered. Insurance. I pressed play. Her voice filled the room. I love you, Colin. Jack's such a bore. He has no idea what a real man feels like. Colin's voice responded. We'll be together soon, baby. Once I get my company back on track, we can start our new life. What about Jack? What about him? He's weak. Always has been. Remember in college? He never stood up for himself then, and he won't now. I stopped the recording. Elise had gone completely white. That was last week, I said. In Colin's office, after hours. Amazing what you can hear through those glass walls. Jack, I can explain. No need. I heard everything I needed to hear. I walked to my closet and pulled out a suitcase of my own. Where are you going? She asked. Pete's place. You can have the house tonight. Tomorrow, we talk lawyers. Jack, please. I'll end it with Colin. We can go to counseling. I'll do anything. I paused at the bedroom door. Anything. Yes, anything. Tell me about the Cartier bracelet. Her face crumpled. How did you? Tell me. Colin bought it for me. For our 6-month anniversary. Anniversary? The word tasted bitter. You celebrated 6 months of betraying your husband. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Sorry you got caught. There's a difference. I left her crying on our bed and drove to Pete's apartment. He was waiting with a bottle of bourbon and a folder full of evidence. How do you feel? He asked as I poured myself 3 fingers of whiskey. Like I've been planning this moment for weeks. Because you have been. Because I have been. I raised my glass. To Colin Brandt, my new employee, and to Elise, my soon-to-be ex-wife. What's the next move? I smiled, and for the first time in months, it felt genuine. Tomorrow, Colin starts his first day working for me, and Elise discovers that her Miami trip just got canceled. Why? Because I own the credit card she was using to pay for it. Pete laughed. You magnificent bastard. I'm just getting started. The next morning, I arrived at my newly acquired company to find Colin waiting in the lobby, looking like he hadn't slept in days. His expensive suits had been replaced with off-the-rack business casual, and the cocky confidence was gone. Good morning, Colin, I said cheerfully. Ready for your first day? Jack, we need to talk, privately. Of course, my office. Or should I say, your old office. I'd had Colin's corner office cleared out overnight. His personal items sat in a cardboard box by the door, and his name had been removed from the frosted glass. The space now belonged to me. This is sick, Colin said as we entered. You're enjoying this. I'm enjoying success. There's a difference. I sat behind the desk that used to be his. Your new office is down the hall. Smaller, but it has a nice view of the parking garage. I'm not going through with this charade. Then you forfeit your severance package and I'll sue you for breach of contract. Your choice. Colin slumped into a chair. What do you want from me? Professional behavior, quality work, and complete honesty about any conflicts of interest. Conflicts of interest? I leaned forward. Colin, is there anything in your personal life that might compromise your ability to work here? His Adam's apple bobbed as he swallowed hard. No. Nothing at all? No relationships or commitments that might create ethical issues? No. Good, because I'd hate for you to violate your employment contract on day one. My assistant knocked and entered. Mr. Duval, your wife is here to see you. Elise appeared in the doorway, her eyes red from crying. She looked between Colin and me, confusion and panic warring on her face. Jack, what's going on? Why is Colin here? Business meeting, I said. Colin works for me now. Didn't he tell you? The color drained from her face. Works for you? I bought his company. He's my senior VP of product development. We'll be working very closely together. Colin stood abruptly. I need some air. Sit down, Colin. We're not finished. Jack, Elise stepped forward. Can we talk? Alone? Actually, this concerns Colin too. You see, I've been thinking about our conversation last night, about your mistakes and bad choices. Please don't do this here. Do what? Discuss business? Colin, Elise tells me you two have been collaborating on some projects together. Sponsorship deals, I believe? Colin's face went gray. Jack, $20,000 in sponsorship deals, to be exact. Funny thing is, I can't find any record of actual work being done. No content created, no marketing materials, no deliverables of any kind. I can explain, Elise whispered. I'm sure you can. But first, let me show you both something. I pulled out my laptop and opened a video file. The hotel security footage Pete had obtained played on the screen. Crystal clear images of Elise and Colin entering and leaving hotel rooms over the past 6 months. This is from the Marriott downtown, the one you claim to have no reservations at. Elise started crying. Colin looked like he might vomit. Here's what's going to happen, I continued calmly. Colin, you're going to continue working here under your contract. You'll do excellent work, maintain professional behavior, and keep your personal life completely separate from business. And if I refuse, then I release this footage to your former investors, your industry contacts, and every tech blog in Boston. Your reputation will be finished. You can't do this. Watch me. I turned to Elise. As for you, dear wife, you're going to return every penny of the money you stole, the $20,000 from our account, plus interest. I don't have that much. Then you'll sell things. The jewelry Colin bought you, your designer clothes, whatever it takes. Jack, please, we can work this out. We are working it out, my way. My phone buzzed with a text from Sandoval. Package delivered to Elise's gym. Everyone's talking. I smiled. Elise, you might want to check your Instagram. Seems like some interesting photos have been posted. She fumbled for her phone, her face going white as she scrolled through the comments on her latest post. Someone had leaked photos of her and Colin together, along with screenshots of their explicit text messages. My sponsors, she whispered. My brand. You've ruined everything. I've revealed everything. There's a difference. Colin jumped to his feet. This ends now, Jack. You want to destroy us? Fine. But I'm taking you down with me. How exactly? I know about your college incident. The real story about what happened at that party. I laughed. You mean when I caught you cheating on your girlfriend with her roommate? And when you begged me not to tell anyone because it would ruin your reputation? That's not what happened, isn't it? Because I have witnesses. 3 of them, actually. They all remember you crying in the bathroom, promising to do anything if I kept your secret. Colin's mouth opened and closed soundlessly. The difference between you and me, Colin, is that I keep my promises. I never told anyone about that night. But you've been telling lies about me for 15 years. This isn't over, he snarled. Yes, it is. I stood up, walking around the desk to face him. You're going to work here, do your job, and stay away from my wife. Any violation of your contract, any attempt to sabotage this company, any contact with Elise outside of official business, and I'll bury you so deep you'll never surface. You can't control my personal life. Watch me. I pressed a button on my desk phone. Security, please escort Mr. Brandt to his new office and help him get settled. 2 large men in suits appeared in the doorway. Colin looked between them and me, his face a mask of rage and defeat. This isn't over, he repeated. Yes, it is, I said. Game over. You lost. As security led Colin away, I turned to Elise. She stood in the middle of the office, tears streaming down her face, her perfect Instagram life crumbling around her. The divorce papers will be ready tomorrow, I said quietly. You can keep the house until it sells. After that, you're on your own. Jack, I love you. I made a mistake, but I love you. No, Elise. You love the idea of security. You love having someone to take care of you while you play house with other men. But you don't love me. You never did. That's not true. Then why did you do it? Why throw away 15 years for someone like Colin? She had no answer. I'll have your things packed and sent to your sister's place, I continued. The credit cards are canceled, the joint accounts are closed, and your access to my business is revoked. How am I supposed to live? The same way Colin's going to live, by working for it. I walked past her toward the door, then paused. One last thing. That Cartier bracelet? Colin bought it with money he borrowed from petty cash. Money that belonged to his employees. Money they needed for their paychecks. Her face crumpled. I didn't know. You didn't want to know. There's a difference. I left her standing in my office, surrounded by the wreckage of her lies, and walked out into the Boston sunshine. For the first time in months, I could breathe freely. My phone rang. It was Pete. How do you feel? He asked. Like I just took out the trash. Any regrets? I looked back at the building that now belonged to me, at the company I'd built from the ashes of betrayal, at the future I'd carved out of revenge. None whatsoever. 6 months later, Colin still worked for me, a broken man doing adequate work for a fraction of his former salary. Elise had moved back in with her parents, her influencer career destroyed, her reputation in ruins. As for me, I'd learned something valuable about trust, about loyalty, and about the price of betrayal. Sometimes the good guys do win. Sometimes the underdog gets his revenge. And sometimes justice tastes sweeter than any victory you could imagine. I never saw either of them socially again. Colin remained my employee until he finally quit and moved to another state, and Elise faded into the background of my memory like a bad dream. But I kept the recording of their conversation, and the hotel footage, and all the evidence of their betrayal. Not because I needed it anymore, but because it reminded me of something important. Trust, once broken, can never be fully repaired. But revenge? Revenge can be perfect.